Hi there, welcome back to my channel. This is MizukiArts, and today we'll be making paper dolls, which is a very exciting project for me since I haven't made any paper dolls since I was like 8 or 9 years old, but truly it was the thing that started me on doodling and really kickstarted my whole art, I guess my art journey. So to jump right into this, I'm using Procreate Pocket, which is basically the phone version of Procreate. And if you don't know, Procreate is this really amazing art app by Apple, the company that makes iPhones and iPads. I'm sure you're aware, of course. I probably don't have to say any of this, but I did. Anyways, into the nitty-gritty of the project. I knew I wanted to include a lot of what makes my art feel like my art. So I was sure to include lots of whimsical touches and details to the hairstyles that I started with. So I went in a layer above the paper doll and I began sketching in a pair of braided pigtails with lots of stars on them, because I do tend to draw stars a lot, and I couldn't live knowing that I didn't add that, and I had the opportunity, you know? Of course, I added a more basic pair of pigtails as well with lots of cute little curls. I don't know how I'm gonna cut those out yet, but we'll see. Anyways, onto the first dress. I knew I was going to go the Lolita fashion route with this because why wouldn't I? I'm always drawing poofy skirts and petticoats and things of that nature, I guess. So I knew that was the way I was going to go. For the second dress, it was a bit harder because I don't like drawing long sleeves as much for some reason. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. I have a very specific taste in what kind of clothes I like to draw, and long sleeves for some reason are just excluded from that. Thing important to note about this type of project is that you have to be able to tell that it's going to print correctly. So you have to make sure everything fits on the page separate. So I tried my best to make sure I formatted it right, so I wouldn't have any problems getting everything to kind of, show up and not overlap if I were to print this out, which I am most definitely going to do. I had to make sure I signed this page for reasons you'll see later in the video, but for now I'm on to the next page, and I knew I wanted more dresses, and I wanted to include some elements in case someone wanted to make a folding background. I mean, I certainly wanted to make a folding background, so I wanted to experiment with that in the video too, in case anyone was making their own paper dolls, and I thought that was cool, so why not? Anyway, the hairstyle I'm making on screen right now, the curled one that I actually just finished on screen, that's awkward. That one piece I actually had to remake later because I didn't like how it fit on the printed out doll. I guess that just goes to show that when you're doing a project like this, where all the pieces are kind of interchangeable, they really won't fit together the first time, and it may take you a couple passes, and that's kind of part of the experience, and that's part of the fun too. I think one of my favorite parts about projects that don't go especially well during the process but turn out really nice in my opinion is that I get to share the mistakes and kind of feel confident about it, and it makes the whole process feel a little more human to me, and I think that's pretty cool. At least that's kind of what I'm trying to convince myself at this point, because I mean, I want to make content that I'm both proud of, but content that feels like me and feels authentic to the process and stuff. So I'm trying to find that balance between professionalism and being myself. So I don't know. And I mean, I'm definitely not a professional, so I really don't have to worry about that. I can just have fun. Prop to rant aside, at this point I was drawing in the background elements that I'd talked about earlier. I drew clouds and a moon that I wanted to make look like it was made out of construction paper and tape, which I think was really cute. And I drew lots of bows, and here you can see I'm attempting to add another hairstyle. We'll see how that goes. For this one I actually wanted to make it have separate pieces that could be added on, so I made the basic ponytail structure without the ponytails or the braids or whatever, and essentially I just went on a layer above it and I was able to add whatever I guess, extra pieces for the hairstyle that I wanted. I made afro puffs, a pair of braided space buns, and I plan to make a long pair of braids as well as a simple ponytail as well. I think it would have been simple enough to just to draw a base for each of these hairstyles, but I wanted it to be like, I guess, less fragile in a way, because if they're separate pieces, I think they're more likely to just separate from the paper doll than they are to rip. I'm not sure what my thinking in that way was, but I think the idea of like add-on pieces is still interesting because you can add them onto the other hairstyles as well. Of course, I filled in the page with lots of other stuff, like a bunch of curly hair, some like weird geometric hair, some cute shoes, as well as like lots of little accessories. I wanted to make sure there was a lot in the way of like accessories and little things that would add dimension to the project once it has been printed out, because with projects like this that I've attempted in the past, where it's like a printable type thing, I tend to make things pretty generic in an attempt to give myself a lot of creative freedom, but in the end, that creates something bland and uninspiring, and I never even get to that point where I'm printing it out because I find the project so overwhelmingly neutral. So I think adding lots of details will give it the kind of vibe that I'm hoping for, and I think it'll make it more of a unique, complete looking printout than just me messing around. It definitely helps to keep me motivated throughout the project too, because essentially I can do whatever I want in that case as I'm, working on it. I don't have to be like, oh, I should keep this simple. I don't know if that's just me that thinks like that whenever there's a project that can be easily replicated, but it's certainly something I struggled with during previous attempts, and I think I'm just proud that this time I was able to figure out what made those projects fail. Oh, and here's the exciting part. It was finally ready to print, so I could see my project and hold it in my own hands, which was really exciting. I pulled out the alcohol markers, which I haven't used in a little while. I use mainly Artist Loft brand alcohol markers, as well as Ohuhus in certain shots. I think I even used a couple of my Copics, which is kind of weird because I was working on computer paper, so I don't know why I would do that. It doesn't seem necessary. If you aren't familiar with the brand, essentially Copics are just a lot more pigmented in my experience, but I'm not sure because I haven't used my Copics on computer paper in a long time because it's such an expensive brand, and it kind of scares me that I'm going to ruin my project since they're just especially, I don't know how else to say it, but juicy. One thing to note is that I made a mistake while coloring this. I gave her a pixie cut, which looks pretty cute on the base of the doll. It's just, it runs into forehead territory, so it kind of shows through with some of the banged hairstyles. So I definitely recommend, if you are looking to give one of your own paper dolls like a pixie cut on the base, I recommend making sure it's a little further back than you would like. Anyways, I tried and failed to recreate my, I guess, kind of layered coloring effect that I can get with watercolors and gouache with alcohol markers. I haven't used alcohol markers in a little while other than for some doodles, so I really kind of felt lost at this point, especially with working on computer paper because it's so delicate and thin. But it was a lot easier than I thought it would be, honestly. Going into this, I kind of remembered trying to use alcohol markers on computer paper before, and it just shredding the paper for some reason. I think last time I tried alcohol markers on computer paper, period, was like 3 or 4 years ago, so I think I definitely got better at handling art supplies since then. Anyways, I tried to use some of my favorite pastel colors for this project to try and unify all the pieces, because even if you won't be seeing them all together at once, I want them to mix and match kind of well once they're cut out and in use. I would just like to take this moment though to formally apologize for the shaky camera. I'm not sure what was going on. I have like a little mini desk set up, and apparently the desk shakes around a lot. When I was using this, I was in a different area than usual for working, so that made for an interesting experience. But regardless, at this point I was ready to cut the pieces out, so I took my X-Acto knife and I started slicing at the very edge of the line art. If you are also going to use an X-Acto knife and you plan to make paper dolls, please protect your fingers, protect the surface underneath where you're working, and move in slow triangular motions for those little details. Don't risk your fingertips. It's just not worth it. Also, keep in mind all this can be done with a nice sharp pair of scissors. You don't have to use a knife and potentially endanger your fingers. Here's a random tip: if you break one of your delicately crafted pieces, you can fix it with washi tape. To avoid ripping more delicate pieces, I recommend removing excess paper in little pieces and chunks, and of course double layering all your pieces because they may bend over time. And then you can make a stand and various accessories using other scraps of paper. To achieve a 3D pop-up book style effect, you can cut out strips of paper and fold them into little boxes that you can secure to both the accessory that you want to pop out and to the back of the backdrop or shadow box or whatever it is you're making. Once everything is colored in and cut out, we are ready to finally assemble this whole project. It has been in nearly 2 weeks of designing stages for me, and it's finally done, and I'm so happy. So you can imagine how excited I was to attach these pieces to the actual doll. I had so much fun accessorizing, and I actually stuck the pieces together with silly putty, but you can use poster putty or glue dots or even the traditional paper tabs that are seen most often with paper dolls. It really just depends on how much you plan to change the clothes, if at all, and really just your preference. If you want to see more pictures of my completed paper doll, you can go to my Ko-fi page and my Instagram. Oh, and bonus, you can actually download and print the design for this off my Ko-fi page. I just opened my Ko-fi shop where I'll be selling downloadables of both this paper doll, and if it turns out to be something you guys really like, I can add more. I'm not really expecting it to be like a super popular thing, so I only set it to like $1 or something. I'm not even sure. I didn't want it to be a lot, but of course I didn't want to undersell myself either, so I thought that was a fair price for something that was kind of DIY and just for fun. If you would like to print this out for yourself to color in and cut out and use to cover like a notebook or a sketchbook, or even just make your own backdrop for it, there's a link down in the comments and in the description box below to my Ko-fi page where you can buy it for yourself. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting forever to say that. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, be sure to like and subscribe if you're new. And if you aren't new, thank you for coming back to watch another video. I hope you guys liked it. Be sure to let me know what you guys thought. I know it was a little different and a little weird, but I kind of needed that, and I hope it didn't sound too much like a commercial. I genuinely just wanted to share the process for this unique project with you guys, and hopefully that comes across well. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!